Appropriation becomes necessary when the world changes, when inherited stories must be revoiced to speak to contemporary conditions. Seamus Heaney's The Burial at Thebes, 2004, responds to two political ruptures: the global aftermath of 9/11 and the unresolved tensions following the Troubles in Northern Ireland. In searching for a literary precedent where the individual clashes with the state, Heaney turns to Sophocles' Antigone, a tragedy in which a young woman is condemned for defying the law to bury her brother. Through this plot, Heaney draws on Sophocles' enduring canon to assert that in a world of distortion, resistance must be spoken to exist. His appropriation allows the canon to serve multiple functions. It sharpens our perception of contemporary politics, whilst also solidifying certain classical ideas, such as the tragic cost of unchecked authority, and reshaping others, like the outdated association of resistance with sacrificial death. If Sophocles' Antigone helped construct a classical moral canon in which tragedy emerges from the denial of sacred moral truth, Heaney's appropriation solidifies that warning against unchecked power, while reapplying the canon to a modern world where truth is no longer silenced but manufactured. Witness to the tragedies of his time, Heaney reanimates Sophocles' tragic form to preserve its core warning that power, when left unchecked, distorts the moral order. Yet the canon he inherits is unstable. In Antigone's canon, Creon's authority draws strength from an assumed, objective moral hierarchy of divine powers. This is evident in his declaration: for the patriot, personal loyalty always must give way to patriotic duty, with a plosive P repetition imbues his authoritative language with harsh rigidity and assertion, rather than a reliance on justification. But in Heaney's post 9/11 context, truth itself is no longer sacred or fixed. It must be manufactured. As a result, political power is no longer legitimized by moral alignment, but must be constantly defended and constructed through language. This shift changes the source of tragedy, not from a ruler's blindness of divine limits, but from the state's awareness of its own fragility and its deliberate manipulation of meaning to maintain control. This is embodied in Creon's shift in language from declarative to defensive. Heaney's Creon echoes George Bush's post 9/11 binary: if you're not with us, you're against us. The illusion recasts our memory of Creon and power itself, not as blind to divine will, but calculating and polarizing in rhetoric. In this reframing, the unburied body is not simply a violation of sacred duty, but a casualty of state propaganda controlling who deserves remembrance and or erasure. Therefore, the canon solidifies our sense of the past as a world where objective truth justified power, while reframing the present as one where truth's malleability creates a more uneasy, deceptive foundation for authority. But if Heaney uses the canon to explore how power operates differently today, he also turns to it to rethink what resistance looks like in a modern world. If Sophocles' Antigone helped construct a classical moral canon that defined resistance as sacred and sacrificial, Heaney's appropriation both solidifies that legacy through its gender politics and reshapes it by exposing how resistance must now be spoken and seen to confront the narrative manipulation that defines modern power structures. In Antigone, the heroine's rebellion unfolds in a patriarchal world. Creon insists, "No woman rules me while I live," a line that has led to Antigone being remembered as, in Virginia Woolf's words, an image of female rebellion. Importantly, adaptations like Heaney's inherit both the original text and the cultural memory of its canon. So Heaney affirms the relevance of these feminist interpretations of ancient Greece in a new political context, where women involved in Ireland's peace process were excluded from public recognition. In this light, Creon's belief that women were never meant for this assembly echoes the same logic in his play, but Heaney does more than repeat it. Unlike Sophocles, who presents Creon's misogyny as a personal flaw within a tragic fall, Heaney reframes them as a symptom of broader political silencing to cultural truth itself. This shift in focus also changes how resistance is defined. Sophocles' Antigone contributes to a classical canon where sacrificial death is valiant. Her journey to the grave is described as a cause for celebration as well as sorrow, while Creon, by contrast, is condemned to live as a breathing corpse. Heaney's speaker demands the opposite. She seeks presence while alive, symbolizing her defiance against silencing and exclusion by the state. Her clipped, three-beat phrases, Isman, come quick here. What's to become of us? Why are we always the ones? Draws from Gaelic oral tradition to centre her voice as a form of cultural and political survival, essentially an instrument of resistance. Another aspect of Heaney's form that formalizes this idea is the use of Anglo-Saxon metre, which David Wiles calls heroic metre, to first preserve the canon's sense of resistance as noble and enduring. Yet this form is deliberately disrupted. In moments of urgency, such as Haman's protest or Teresa's warning, Heaney introduces enjambment, irregular stresses, and broken rhythms to audibly challenge inherited authority. These ruptures symbolize interruption, mirroring how rebellious voices must break through the established rhythms of power. In doing so, Heaney reframes resistance from solemn sacrifice to political visibility, showing that when truth is manufactured, survival lies not in being remembered, but in refusing silence. Appropriation becomes a necessary literary act when inherited truths risk becoming inert, misunderstood, misapplied, or mistaken as fixed. Like Antigone, who fights to honor the dead against a state that seeks to control meaning, adaptation resists the erasure or distortion of truth by reasserting meaning on new terms. His version uses the canon to reveal how power and resistance operate differently in a world where truth is manufactured rather than silenced, solidifying certain classical ideas such as the tragic cost of unchecked authority, while reshaping others like the moral clarity of resistance. In doing so, Heaney affirms the canon not as a static inheritance, but as a contested space, one that must be revoiced if meaning is to resonate with new audiences.